Good afternoon. Welcome to the FTD University webinar titled Merchandising 911. Today you will learn key merchandising elements to help increase sales, motivate your employees, generate positive first impressions, and improve visual branding. FTD Education Consultant J. Keith White will be leading this informative webinar. As partner and design director of AANDK Productions, a special events company, Keith is known for his floral vision and extraordinary designs. No stranger to the news media, Keith's programs and projects have been covered by broadcast, internet, and print journalism for more than 2 decades. Sponsored by FTD, his masterful designs on the official vehicles in the annual Rose Parade have been viewed by millions. In conjunction with this webinar, FTD is holding the 2nd annual FTD Makeover Magic Contest. To enter the contest, you must watch this live webinar in its entirety and submit a 75-word essay explaining why your shop interior deserves a makeover, as well as 1 or 2 photos of your shop's current interior space and storefront window display. All submissions must be sent to prdept@ftdi.com by midnight Pacific Time tonight, August 20th, 2013. The contest winner will receive a store makeover valued at $5,000. You can view the official contest rules at www.ftdi.com/makeover. Once Keith is finished with his presentation, we will open the webinar up for questions. If you have a question, simply type it in the question box on the upper right side of your screen. We will take the questions in the order they are received. Feel free to submit your questions during the presentation. We will hold them until the Q&A portion of the webinar. So without further ado, I would like to turn the call over to Keith to begin the webinar. Keith?
Thank you, Emily, very much. And again, Aaron in the background for helping me provide this webinar to the members here at FTD. And I would like to say welcome to Merchandising Emergency. And how does your store subconsciously attract customers? Are you literally driving customers into your store, or are you driving them away? It's never been clearer that tired store environments are a customer turnoff. Now it's time to refresh, to connect with consumers on a visceral and visual level with new visual merchandising strategies that are engaging and sensory. In our fast-paced world of technology, look to the past for future success. Think about all you have done to improve your business, learn from the past experiences, and proceed with creative new ideas and positives from the past. Know who you are, like the simple vintage photo, florist. We are a tactile and sensory industry that naturally attracts customers to our store. One of the key points and the graph that's being shown is merchandising success factors. Merchandising is the portion of merchandise sales as by coordinating production, marketing, developing advertising, display, and sales strategy. So in this webinar, we'll review these key points. As you can tell, color, signage, presentation, lighting, point of sale material, and view as a customer. So first off, let's view your store as a customer. Here you are driving up to a store, and this is an example of a makeover that was done with the before and after photos. From the exterior, you can look at the photograph on the left-hand side and see how cluttered it can be. One of the key factors is reduce signage clutter and avoid messages. Example is just what is shown in this photograph, saying with the signage, wholesale prices, European designs, wedding specialists, Holland cuts, and when in fact the florist's name, it sends a clear message, all occasion florist. And one of the statistics after the makeover, sales went up 24% during the first 9 months after the new exterior and van graphics were applied versus the same 9 months to the prior year. one of the things I'm going to try and do right now is show you with the ftdi.com logo and website is to show that FTD does offer some other additional items. If you go to the ftdi.com site, look under Toolkit and Resources, scroll down, and you can see local marketing and also in-store merchandising. When you look at the in-store merchandising, there's going to be some different things that will be available to you. One of the new items coming out is the POP kit and the counter mat. Then also you'll have posters that are going to be available. And you say, oh, we've gotten these before, but wait till you see these. There are new sizes that actually fit in the counter mats. And so I think you'll be excited about receiving these, and those should be on their way, and you should be getting those soon. There is also, if you scroll down, you can go to Vehicle Graphics, which leads you to another site of a partnership with FTD on vehicle graphics. And looking at the whole scenario behind vehicle graphics, it is a great, great way of seeing the fact of your actual rolling advertising. And when I was at a convention this past weekend in North Carolina State, it's amazing how the vans that were wrapped with this type of logos or with floral materials, how those stood out, and just recognize that as being a great shop immediately. So again, don't forget rolling display. When you look at other types of items that are available to your place, of course you're listening in, and we're going to have the second actual makeover contest winner. And this is the one from 2012, last year. The winner was Luther Florist and Greenhouses in Kansas City. And when we first saw, and they submitted their 75-word essay and 2 photographs, was of the interior, one was the exterior. This is the photo they sent in of their exterior of their store. So immediately what I saw was exactly the other particular makeover was it was to unclutter the front of the store, and I created a new updated logo and window graphic for them. The space was redesigned for ease of shopping and a combined business area, along with an eye-catching, get it, lighted window display. This 100-year-old business was brought up to date, keeping the past history intact with the FTD makeover. As Bob, the owner, says, I have to pinch myself continuously with the store transformation. And it was one of those items also right after the fact. She was getting calls that people saw this on TV and print material of old customers wanting to come back to her store just with that type of PR. So always keep that in mind, that people are coming to see not only you, but what you have visually in front of your store. And that gets me to the point of know your market share or niche in the market. If you are a crystal florist who obviously is a florist and greenhouse, but they actually are perpetual grave care people, and that's where they pride themselves on, serving all cemeteries in New Jersey. Or if you're the twig store and more like a high-end feeling, just be proud and send a clear message starting from the brick and mortar to your FTD web page. Be focused and be consistent. And with the next slide, how do your eyes react to both of these photos? Color and texture will impact your overall business. Now, your first impression of how your eye was focused on one photo over the other. Impact of product versus color. Would you buy the colored vases over the white vases? Think about it just a second, and we'll move on to who knew that colors are strategically placed to influence your spending. Marketing experts say that people subconsciously associate specific colors with specific social or cultural messages. Knowing this, retailers carefully select the colors they use in an effort to get you to loosen your purse strings. Colors associated with food are powerhouse choices. So keep listening and don't reach for the s'mores yet. And trend colors, and a lot of people are afraid of trend colors because, oh, they come and go. But within the floral industry, the colors are good for a minimum of like a 2-year run. So don't think that you have to change it every 6 months, but it'd be about a 2-year run. And most everyone likes blue. No wonder it connotes trust and dependability and is a favorite logo for institutions seeking to make people feel secure. And of course, like the spa, very comfortable. It's a comfortable color. Blue can improve customer loyalty too. Patrons are 15% more likely to return to stores with blue color schemes than those with orange color schemes. So think about the hardware store you return to the most, the blue one or the orange one, and why you shop there. When you look at colors and how the symbolism behind it and meaning, it's like flowers. So black evokes sophistication, green connotes environmental awareness, and pink has calming effects. Yellow evokes energy, while white stands for modernity. My saying is, pick a color, buy it, and believe in it. And here's an example of how consumers' reactions to colors are. So I mentioned yellow equals energy, and it's kind of a nervous color too. Daffodils equal spring and cheerfulness. Lemons equals the fresh and zestful. When you're working with powerhouse colors like yellow, choose a basic gray or taupe to surround an energy color to offset and balance some of that energy. Neutrals in a store are a perfect match for an overall store color theme. Again, accent colors are great, but as an overall, stick to some of the more neutral palettes. Here is a display I created using a few select home decor items along with floral and plant items. So perfect pairing or solution sales are one of the rules of a shopper's marketing. Make it easy for the shopper to say yes and save time in the store. Studies show you can help the shopper find what they need more quickly, and they will use the balance of their time to shop and buy more. And I mentioned this in the last webinar. The silent salesperson at work. It's very, very important to have this in your favor. And there are thousands of ways a store can display products. Actually, you know what? There's millions of ways. The question is really what makes the most impact on your sales and customers. 3 not to ignore tips when merchandising your unique store include visual impact, which is bold signs and shapes. Even if you only have one customer in your store at any given time, it's possible to tell them everything about your store and product within it. Through a combination of signage, press clippings, and FTD promotional posters, let words do some of your talking. Frame everything consistently, or make sure at least they're professionally presented to ensure your customer recognize these signage opportunities as a place for them to gain valuable information. And please, please, please update your signage as necessary and take down any signage that looks beat up, torn up, or out of date. As Joan Crawford said, no wire hangers. I say no Scotch tape. Again, look for new FTD POP items and sizes and countermat arriving to you soon. Again, look at the photograph on the right-hand side and see how visual merchandising it can be very attractive. And I'll get into this about consumer choices. So really focus in on this photograph and remember it. Customers love to be engaged, whether it's trying on a dress or touching a specialty gift or demoing a unique product. The power of engagement always helps consumers get more interested in products. On the flip side, they may identify it as not something they want, but with the right inventory assortment and the right mix of opportunities for customers to be engaged with, there is sure to be something that's right for them. The real takeaway here is to make sure your store enables customers to touch and pick up products and get engaged with them. Plain and simple. Does your store do this? Could your store do it better? Avoid placing smaller items low in merchandising. This is an area out of reach and will equal zero sales. So look at the photographs. Is your product out? And it doesn't have to be all of it, but is some of your product out for customers, or is it all locked behind glass? Could your store do it better? Simplicity of displays. Have you ever been in a store so overwhelming you didn't know where to land your eyes or which direction to walk, or could you even walk in the store? Often stores neglect the general rules of merchandising, including keeping products clear, visible, and appealing in display, and approachable for customers, again, to touch. They instead clutter their store shelves, racks, and walls. As a result, utter confusion from the customers. So now, think about your store and identify your 3 newest items. Are they easy to find? Do your customers notice them as new to your store assortment? Now think about your 3 oldest items. Are they up front and center or mixed among your current products? Your goal should be to have clear views of your product that are not distracted by other products or display. Instead, your display should flow naturally and lead your customers throughout the entire store. Last weekend, I listened to an interview on the vast array of choices that consumers make daily. And it was so interesting to hear it and to be validated about giving you this type of information. And I said, remember this photo a couple of pages back about how those products were displayed. Again, consumers were given a choice of 24 items on a table versus 8 items on a table. It was really strange. More went to check it out on the 24-item table, but only 3% made a purchase. The table with the 8 items is the one that people bought of and had sales. So again, limit some of the choices or streamline some of the products presented to buyers. In-store and web too. And don't forget about the web. I mentioned this over the past weekend too about webs. Sometimes we give way too many choices and people do get confused at what choice to make. So some of the great elements of effective visual merchandising is I spoke of the color will set the mood, and place the largest object in a display first. And it's better to have asymmetrical rather than symmetrical designs and placements when you're presenting products. And just make sure it has a cohesive look. No stepchildren, no foster care needed. So again, a very cohesive look. And what more can you present in the dark. You should have lighting. The proper lighting is key to any store and any type of sales area. And once again, simplicity. Limit some of the choices. Sometimes as florists we just buy, and we confuse not only ourselves, our customers, and the design staff of what to pick and choose when doing this. So simplicity could be your key. So a starting point for your emergency, and while you're listening in today, chaos versus clutter. Many stores place items without using any principles or points reviewed so far. Now, after the review of key items, where to start? So a basic starting tip is to organize your clutter. Put like items together to create one look, or simply color block items together. It's best to start always with a clean slate area to be merchandised. So in the photographs you can literally see how one store grouped the azaleas together or cyclamens together, and again the color palettes are grouped together. Visual merchandising with home decor items or props to tell a story will educate the customers and do the job of a salesperson. This in return requires less labor and increased ROI, which is return on your investment. And again, this is whole storytelling is to refresh tired stores. Now to see some storytelling examples that can encompass your total store or merchandising areas. The first style, organic. And it's explore a shift to artisanal, kind of made, propping, a simpler, nostalgic approach that is creating effective displays to add the proper visual support to merchandising assortments. And if you take a look at the little details that have been brought in here, not only from the post to the metal strappings, it just goes on and on, the detailing that can be involved in organic styling, keeping things on the natural side. And when you choose from an organic styling, choose from an organic color palette for background area options. The best example, opt for a blue as an accent color over green. The Echo product and plants will come to life surrounded by blue, as the olives do in the photo. Also, look at the blue shirt the customer has on too in the other photograph. So surround these items with natural components like natural wood elements, zinc, and I mentioned the chalkboard signage. It all relates together. And in the vintage styling, today's vintage is the best from yesterday's cottage to industrial looks with an updated approach. And this is one of the reasons why with Luther's Florist last year, I wanted to keep that history intact with their shop. So even on this photo on the right-hand side, you can tell the old neon sign was incorporated with inside the store. So again, it's that comfort feeling of yesterday's look with an updated approach. Trending colors, I mentioned about, and one of the slides showed pink, and pink is one of those colors that's very calming, and pink as in drunk tank pink, I'll mention it again, drunk tank pink. Yes, it's a true color name, and it's a must-read book too if you haven't read it. It's Psychology of Color and How It Affects, but pick it up. But anyway, pink has a calming effect that is unmatched for both cottage and industrial feelings, and you'll get it about the locker room if you read the book. So another must-have color is the Aqua, and I just found this color out this past few months, and it's from Behr, and it's called Tropical Tide, and the number is 520D-5. Again, it's Tropical Tide. And that's the color that can be seen in the center photograph behind the large clock. It is such a comforting blue color, and it's on the aqua side. So check that out for new color. And I just saw that in a magazine that's coming out next month, some of the emerging hot color, paint colors for homes and decor. And I was really surprised. Tropical Tide is right in there with it. So again, when you're doing this vintage feeling, make sure you combine interesting items with a nostalgic appeal that are comforting and, again, assuring to yesterday's past. When you look at urban modern, basic black dominates high-end. It's kind of like the FTD logo, the black background with the gold as the key trademark to FTD now. And again, with this high-end look, the best lighting is essential in a store. You must have it. And this really completes that clean and simple, sophisticated background when you're doing this. And so you have the neutral black background color. Now pop these colors that are shown for merchandise equals instant drama. So when you're doing a showroom in your sales area, there are a lot of essentials, but one key essential to start out, you have the merchandise, is to be able to have the correct fixturing. And an example is a set of the black nesting tables, and these are actually from Florist Review, so you might want to check out also other items that are available from Florist Review for merchandising, not only tables but lighting pieces also. So again, you want to remember to have the proper fixturing to go along with the store, and a lot of people say this is a huge expense, but you want to take into account the expense versus how product is sold in the store. If you don't have the proper fixturing, it might equal to less sales for you. So again, look at your fixturing. You might not need it all, and again, maybe streamline some of the items that you have and use the best available that you have in your store. And so this might involve a little bit of creativity, a little bit of employee involvement as an overall scheme, but creativity. Explore your options and then motivate employees, again, with involvement in your store. You just might discover you have a great merchandiser on hand. And through my travels, through everything I thought, God, how many photos and how many slides can I cover? But I thought, you know, with this webinar, I wanted to pull a few items that were going to be the most interesting, and people say, oh my God, I don't have the money to spend on all this display and propping. But so here are a couple of interesting and creative displays, and if you notice, balloons deflated to make a pattern or a backdrop. I thought this was so clever. And then also the pool floats, or what's called noodles, cut into flower forms. And again, note the color impact of the blue and green and how it makes you feel just looking visually at these two color choices. It's soothing, again, interesting, and it draws your eye into the business. One other thing is to look at is the whole thing about eco-friendly, about repurposed items. So you can see on one of the photos, the metal studs were actually used as flower stems in clear glass vases with rocks, and corrugated tin for shapes and textured backgrounds. And this is, of course, the Luther's floors from last year, which I have kept in contact and send them little tidbits of creativity for their windows because they have a great window space. But Remo and their designer there has been the key to their window success. So thanks again, Remo Ann from Luther's Florist. And she knows how to explore all the options creatively. And so what I would like to leave you with is to be able to focus and visualize the endless possibilities to create the storytelling to drive customers into your store, literally, not like the first photograph, but literally customers into the store. So again, thanks for attending the FTD webinar. I've left some time today to be able to answer as many questions as possible. So if you can't get your question in or we run out of time, please feel free to contact me at jkeithline@att.net. So many of you did last year, and I'll be able to answer as many questions as possible coming up shortly. And again, if you'd like to view this webinar, it'll be available at ftduniversity.com, and also the handouts will be available at ftduniversity.com. And remember, part of today's webinar is the FTD Makeover Magic Contest. And if you haven't submitted your 75-word essay, couple of photographs, and I say take the worst ones, and hint, hint, if you have white lattice in your shop, take one of those. I'm trying to get white lattice out of stores. So all those submissions must be made by tonight at midnight Pacific time. You're hopefully will be the lucky one that will receive a makeover valued at $5,000 for your store. It's been a pleasure, and I thank FTD once again for their continued support, not only with the webinars and educational opportunities that have been available, that have been made available to me to present to you, FTD members. So again, thank you, and we'll turn this back over to Emily, and we'll be able to get to answer some questions. I know there were some questions immediately. So Emily?
Thank you, Keith. Thank you very much for sharing a lot of great information with us today, and we are open for questions. If you have a question, simply type it in the question box in the upper right side of your screen, and we will take the questions in order of which they were received. But we're going to start off with a comment first that actually is from Bonnie Hayes at Luther Florist, who's also on the line, just saying, hello, Keith. We just want to encourage people who say, I never win anything, that we can't say, and they can't say that anymore, and they are still getting lots of folks raving about the makeover that they received. So thank you, Bonnie, for joining us today. All right, our first question comes from Rhonda. She says, I have an older building and the windows are huge. I don't know how to place product without them getting lost in the window space. The window is 7 feet high by 30 feet wide. All suggestions are welcomed.
7 foot by 30 foot. Aren't you the lucky one? I hope it's not in the west sun all the time. That's one thing I would like to know first, is which direction, because that can pose some questions of what you need to put in your windows or what's available to put in the windows. And is there like a covering? But my first thing, just by looking at your scale and proportion of this, the 7 foot by 30 foot, is I would almost want to see how you can divide this into sections. I know I said limit the choices, but to be able to create maybe 3 areas or 3 vignette areas of even 4 by 8, and leaving some space in between is cool, that you can see into the store possibly, but able to focus maybe just on 3 groupings or 3 items, even if it's all the same. If it's for a holiday or for a certain time, is to be able to maybe divide this up with backdrops, meaning like a 4 by 8 area, so you still can get a visual to the store, but yet your eye stops or that hook from the outside. So again, maybe just divide that up into 3 spaces.
Okay, and Keith, just so you know, Rhonda said it's the northeast side is what it faces.
It's the northeast side. Good for you. So you can put in different types of bricks. So many people, and that's why I ask immediately if it's the west side or west sun coming in, the hot sun. Being from Texas, I am always aware of the west side and what it does to product, not only if you're trying to keep fresh in there, or silk flowers, how it fades. One of the key items for everyone is to make sure that your windows are changed out frequently, because again, this tells customers that you're up to date, and it's just not old, dusty, dirty merchandise that hangs around for 6 months at a time. In my retail situation, we were We were a little bit crazed about changing the windows out once a week, but I would suggest at least twice a month. And if you, okay.
Oh, I was going to say we have another question, and actually it's from Jerry, who is saying that he or she has a west-facing storefront with tinting, which makes it very hard to see any display except at night with interior spotlights. It's also a very old building in a very hot part of the country. Any ideas?
Any ideas? Is there any types of awnings that are available for, not knowing the store, if there's an awning situation or if there's a way to do a lighter tint, number one, on the store? If you say, oh, you know, I can light my store up at night, that's a plus. It's amazing how many people drive around or shop around at night and you can catch their eye, or they find it interesting to see a great window display lit up at night. And that's for all shops, is to make sure your window displays stay lighted during the dark hours. But with the west side, I know it's always an issue, and that's why I would highly recommend changing product out as frequently as possible. So technically it doesn't get sunburned and faded out. One of the things also is to look at maybe some of the I could be available. You say you're in a hot part of the country. May I ask what part of the country it is? And the reason why I'm asking that is, if it's in, you know, Texas or Arizona, how about succulent planters or something outside that's going to be able to give you a draw from the exterior part of your store to get them inside if they physically can't see into it? I would say do some sort of container planters or something outside your store, again, to be able to draw them into it.
Keith, Jerry's in New Mexico.
Ah, that's what I thought. So succulent planters was the key. I would definitely suggest doing your visual impact on the exterior of your store if that's possible.
All right, let's go to the next question from Andrea. What colors would you suggest for a bridal consultation area? Any recommended props or rental items to display?
A color for a wedding presentation area and consultation area, I would suggest going with, again, maybe one of the taupe colors. I have several, so shoot me an email and I can send you several different paint choices. I'll be glad to do that. And one of the emerging colors, of course, for weddings is more on the salmon pink side. But again, it might not be the bride choice. So I feel like when you're doing bridal colors or that consultation room, you want to keep it as neutral as possible, because they might have some really bizarre color scheme that they want to go for. And if you're trying to pull products in or do even sample work, it's going to work with the neutral palette, again, like I described, will work the best. And again, it's clean, it's simple, and it's very focused.
All right, the next question comes from Evelyn. I have very limited space, mostly shelves. What are some fixtures I can use within this space?
I just have to think back to Luther's Florist last year. Bonnie's floor space was very, very limited, and we squeezed a lot in a little bit of space and made it all functionally. So with, like, Bonnie's shop, I picked one central, she has shelving, but I picked one central focused, and it was a zinc round table, and that was the anchor in the middle of the store itself. So instead of focusing on a bunch of little things, buy yourself one big item to be able to center in your store, and again, make that the focus to shop. And I picked the round because you can shop around, and it worked best in that kind of space.
All right, the next question comes from Sharon. Where can companies receive information on window graphics, like flowers and I believe other decals?
Check with the Van Graphics company through the partnership with FTD. And if they cannot help you with a request like that, a company that I have used in the past is Fast Signs. A lot of times they're nationwide, and they can take a lot of your either graphics or files or JPEGs of even your own flowers, the photographs you've done, and turn them into window graphics, or they can be printed on foam core, gator board, all the way down. And I've had many things printed on fabrics to put in windows as backdrops. So again, I've taken pictures of parts of a bridal bouquet that I've had and put on fabric to use as a backdrop in a store. So again, Fast Signs was a nationwide company and that I've used in the past.
All right, great. The next question comes from Cindy. Hi, I am an event planner florist. How can I tell my story and get the message out without just thinking? I do party planning. I wanted to buy a display, but not sure where I can get them and make it look like to convey what I'm trying to achieve. So where can you buy fixtures and displays?
For party planning.
She doesn't want to come across as just a party planner, wants to be much broader as an event planner and florist.
For an event planner and florist. Well, for fixturing, she's asking questions about fixturing,
right,
or
where to buy displays and fixtures.
There's several display fixturing companies at market. If you will, again, email me for that information. You don't have it right in front of me. I have that information to you, but there are several different companies that can supply those types of products.
Okay, so we'll get that information if you email Keith.
Yeah,
okay.
Please do. Please
All
do.
Right. The next question comes from Evelyn. My store is converted from an old brick home. Customers are confused because they feel like they are in a living room. How, without making thousands of dollars in renovations, can I create visual appeal with such a small space that includes a giant brick fireplace?
Well, I think that your customers feel confused that they're in a living room. I think it's a huge plus that you can create literally a home environment and everything is to scale for a person's home within it. So I think you need to take that and run with that advantage to be able to use the home setting as really your tool in order to develop believable merchandising. And again, with a fireplace, God, you know how many florists would just kill to have a fireplace in their store to be able to merchandise around. So I think this is something, again, take it to the full advantage of using your at-home environment to merchandise like people would have their home setting.
Thank you, Keith. And the next question comes from Kim in Miami. We are located on a main residential neighborhood street. We have been here for over 50 years and people still drive by us and don't know we are here. We have lots of trees and more of a cabin look. What can we do to draw more attention to us? We don't have a window display.
Run down to South Beach and hire a few guys. No, just kidding. When you look at the stores down in Florida and you're saying that you have a lot of trees, is this what's blocking your view to your store? Or you might want to see, I don't get the full gist, I think of the question is like, is the store hidden away? Is that what you see, Emily?
She hasn't said yet, so I'll let you know if she replies back.
Okay. It's just kind of like, oh, is she in a forest of palm trees and Robolini palms? She might just need to do some landscaping, clean up some of the landscaping areas in order to be able to see their store. Or again, signage. So many cities and states or counties even have sign ordinances. So I don't know how that is in her particular location, but it might be to be able to present with the new signage. Or again, maybe a color that can be in the store that the store actually stands out.
Okay, yes, Kim is saying that it is landscaped, and one of the issues it's surrounded by mansions, and it looks more like a garden area than a business.
And again, signage, if it's in that truly kind of residential, it could be because of signage.
Okay.
Issues that she might have. I would tell her, shoot me a couple of photographs of the exterior of your store, and don't forget to send those into the Makeover contest also, because this could be interesting to see, and I can give you some updates on maybe actually seeing a photograph of the exterior of a store.
All right. We've got a lot of questions coming in, so let's go to the next one. Tony from Pink Pussycat Flower Shop in Plantation, Florida. We are known for our window displays. For 45 years, we have people amazed with our displays, but the walk-in is starting to slow down. How do we revitalize it back to our glamour days?
Those glamour days. I know those too. One of the things with this is FTD has given several webinars on how to bring customers into your store with values. So you might want to look at your customer base. And Emily, you might be able to help me out with this. There was some, like, even promotional items come in a certain day or run specials on Friday on a different product, or send out store coupons valued at, and it's up to you, $10, $15 off your next in-store purchase, and make sure you include that and make it well known that it's in-store purchase. And it doesn't matter if they're coming in to purchase something to take with them or to send to another person, but make sure you have that coupon validated that it's for in-store purchasing. And that might be able to get you some more traffic back into your store. And again, keep up the great windows, because it still is very important.
All right, thank you, Keith. I think also you were thinking we do have all of our past webinars on FTD University online to see some of that, and I think you may also be referring to, we have our FTD Good Neighbor Day is coming up in September, so that's also another good way to drive traffic into your shop. The next question is, let's see, from Malene. I have a small window that is very hard to see from the street. If an item isn't white, you can't see it. The window is elevated and behind a banister. The window is individually paned and hides the items. What do you suggest? Lighting is awful too.
If you know the key factors, you've almost resolved everything. Of course, white is the most powerful color to be seen from a street or at a great distance. I'd say keep it as simple as possible. Only you're saying you have the window panes, so that's a hindrance also. I don't know if that's part of the store with the window panes, if that could be changed out to one plate window or even to a 4-pane window. But if it's smaller panes, that's what you're going to have to live with. And if you've already said the lighting's awful, you might want to be able to use a smaller track lighting unit. Those are available. Florist Review has those, I know, available that are just plug-in, so you don't have to hire an electrician to come in for that. But make sure it's lighted. One of the things also, again, don't forget the exterior of your store to be able to draw that customer in to that window, if it's a planter box or a planter outside your store, if that's possible in the location that you're in.
All right, the next question comes from Bonnie Cummings. Our store is in a residential area. There are no small windows, but no real display window. I'm sorry, there are small windows, but no real display window. Don't know how to attract attention using these windows in a fast traffic area.
Ooh, I would definitely, and again, go ahead and shoot me a photograph via email of your store, and I'll look over that because it's hard for me to visualize how small these windows are and what's going to be your best advantage to using smaller windows without having large display areas. First of all, I would say it's going to have to be to do something with color or something, but again, I hate to make that decision online without seeing that store window first, the size again of those. I'm going to be busy after this webinar with emails, so
well,
don't worry, I'm here.
Thank you for doing that. For those of you that are on the call, and we do have some more questions, so if you are interested or need to jump off, feel free to do that. I just wanted to make that comment. The next question comes from Kathy. How can you make balloon and greeting card displays look a bit more than functional? So how can you dress them up?
Balloon and greeting cards to make them more, I know with the FTD systems and their cards, there are card racks. Just make sure that the card racks are filled properly and stay that way, that it's a maintenance issue to make sure that those are maintained. And for balloon displays, there's hey, take for instance the balloons I showed. You know, can't say, oh, got to have these balloons inflated all the time. Hey, make a rug or make a background using deflated balloons. Start off with that, and maybe that's the key to having something creative in the store to show, hey, this is the balloon corner without, you know, 50 Mylars hanging on the ceiling.
All right, the next question comes from Kathy, and this sounds vaguely familiar to Luther Florist. We have taupe walls with white shelves and an old wagon in the center that we put fresh arrangements going out on deliveries on. Should we use this as a fresh flower display and move the cooler into the workroom?
And the card is being used to showcase the flowers on it. Do you mind repeating that again? It just
sure.
It seemed
we have taupe walls with white shelves in an old
yes.
wagon in the center that we put fresh arrangements that will be going out on delivery. Should we use this as a fresh flower display and then move the cooler into the workroom so the flowers are on display on this wagon in the front of the shop? Should they use that in another way, that wagon in another way, and display?
Not knowing the layout totally of the store, if they have how many entrances or they have a delivery, I want to say entry, exit out the back of the store, it seems like once your arrangements are made up, ready to go out on delivery, that they should be in a delivery zoned area, if that's in a cooler situation or in a delivery shelving area, and not so much put back into the retail environment. And yes, I would definitely use the cart that you're talking about to house and fresh flowers that are available for sale instead of things that are already sold, ready to go out. And that would keep people always say, oh, I can't keep all my flowers out, and that whole consumerism of touch, feel, and smell. You should really store some of your flowers outside the cooler, like, let's say, lilies that you want to open, for instance. Other things that are longer lasting flowers, even tulips that you want to process and leave out overnight before putting in a cooler. Gerbers are incredible in smaller glass vases left out in the store. They will look up to the light and things like that. So yes, definitely use the cart as a sales item and not a sold item.
All right, thank you, Keith. Can you go back one slide, which will show your email address, because you've given your, there you go.
There you go.
We're going to
for
go
real.
to the next question. I have numerous windows as I am in a corner store in a large shopping center. Do I need to have the windows match in color and texture?
And in the shopping center, I guess this is a strip
Mall
center or a mall situation, or it doesn't matter if there's a lot, if she has a lot of window spacing. One of the things you really should look at is just go to the mall, view yourself as a customer, and do you have an overall look, like I was telling for storytelling? Are you a vintage shop? Are you industrial chic? Are you modern? How does you want to have your shop appeal to that customer that walks by or that's driving by? What is, again, your focus of your shop? And that will kind of dictate about your windows. If you're a shop that's catering to several different looks for home decor, yes, it is fine to be able to showcase each one of your looks. It's just like with showroom work that I do at the markets is the companies offer a wide range of product. It is still, and we were able to show different looks in different windows. So yes, it's fine to do that. But again, focus on who you are and what you want to be to your customer.
All right, the next question comes from Chris. What kind of flooring do you recommend for display areas, and how do you logically put in new carpet?
Logically put in new carpet. When I had retail, I actually had carpet in the design room, and that's why people think I'm so clean when I design, because no one was allowed to throw anything on the floor. But with display areas, I think anywhere from stained concrete is perfectly fine in this and today's environmental times. You can do wood flooring, which we know is not the best around water. So tile, to me, has adversities also because of slipping factors, breaking factors. It's kind of like the concrete. One vase drops and that's it. I'm not a big advocate of carpet in stores, only because of I just know about flowers and plants and spills that happen within a florist, and it's not the best application always to have carpet in a flower shop. I hope that answers it. Again, if you can show me some spacing, if you have, areas that can be done in different medium, that could be a possibility.
Okay, the next question comes from Diana. What colors would you incorporate with antique furniture into your store displays?
Okay, with antique furnishings, one of the things is and you mentioned antiques, is it fine English antiques, French antiques, or is it shabby chic antiques? That's an open-ended question too. Can she be a little bit more specific on what type of antiques?
Sure, we can have her do that. If Diana, you can respond with some more clarification, and then we'll come back to you. In the meantime, we've got Christina. What would you advise for a busy street with fast-moving traffic? And we also have the same type of question from Sue as well. Just being on a major road where traffic is moving rapidly, how do you encourage customers to stop in?
Of course, depending on their window size and window location, it's that key point, simplicity. Make it bold, make it strong, make something that's going to grab a person's attention. White, of course, is number one color. Yellow, number two. Just have something as vibrant, and again, don't clutter things up. Just keep it simple. bolder items attract, and those two colors, the white and yellow, the visual contact with those colors is amazing from a distance. And I know, I get it. You only have literally a couple of seconds to grab someone's attention. So the bolder, the simpler, the better.
All right. We've got from Juliana, I have relocated to an old middle school building. I am in the original kitchen of that school. All around me are business offices. I'm in a very small area and limited to what I can do for remodeling because it is a historical building. It is the size of a small kitchen. Any suggestions of what I can do to improve crampness besides moving?
You're part of the hysterical society then, right? In the and from my understanding from the question, you are in the kitchen part only? Is that it, Emily?
Yes, that's what it sounds like.
Only in the kitchen. Does she have any visibility from the exterior that someone knows there's a flower shop or florist in that location?
We'll have to wait till she replies. Can't tell from the question. Going back to the antique furnishings one, if you want to go back to there and
yes, sure, I do.
Is Farmhouse Country is the antique furnishings. Well, the colors that you would.
Okay, tell her to look at the photograph that's up right now, the final point slide. It's perfect for her. Look at the Kerr jars, and there's a color palette that's just unbelievable right there. I would keep it on the softer side of those colors. Look at some of the, it's called Milk, M-I-L-K, paint colors. And that's basically what's been used on these Kerr jars. And that whole antique, worn, vintage feeling is perfect for farmhouse colorations.
All right, great. Going back to the kitchen, the shop that's in a kitchen, she has a south-facing window.
So people realize and
it overlooks a cement courtyard. She has an open sign in the window with her FTD logo in it.
Did she say the size of the window at all?
No.
No, too many questions. Have her shoot me a photograph.
She might have to email you.
Email me, jkeithonline@att.net, and send me a photo, and hopefully I'll be able to help you out. And again, don't fret about the small space. It's wonderful to work in small spaces, and there's a lot you can do within a small space.
All right, just real quick, we just want to say that we actually have a florist from the Caribbean who's on the islands of Trinidad and Tobago that has joined us today. So she found education to be extremely helpful. The next question, go ahead. All right, well, the next question from Denise. She is a new florist, and her shop has been run down through the years from the first owners. It has sold several times, and local people have forgotten that, it's a local flower shop. It's a big tourist area with a lot of grocery stores that people like to go in just for quick pickups. How do I get people to start looking, coming back, wanting to come back into my shop?
Did she, what area is she in?
She doesn't say. No.
Okay. I think the answers are right there, and it's back to the webinar. View your store as a customer. And so if she's that person and she's aware of her surroundings, what other stores are doing, maybe they're not flower shops, or maybe that's what she's indicating, that people walk in, pick some things up, leave. I call it the T-shirt boutique syndrome, where you're selling them a T-shirt, you'll never see them again. But it's the whole point of you want them to be able to get into your store to buy something. And so again, look at what the other stores are doing, how they're doing it, why those people are stopping in that area, because it sounds, again, if it's a tourist regional area, she should be able to take notes and immediately figure out what is going on in that area in order to drive customers to her store, literally drive them in to her store by just her neighbors of what they're doing. And again, with flowers, you might want to look at, if it's a tourist area, smaller gift items that relate to that regional area. Yeah, I mean, just for instance, if it's a seaside, there might be some kind of nautical theme happening all the time in the store. In other words, that's where I said focus on who you are or what your niche market might be, is to start carrying products that relate to these buyers, why they're there and why they're buying these items.
All right, great. The next question comes from Teresa. I have an old store that used to be a bank. There is a huge safe in the middle of the room with hallways on both sides. Large sun-facing windows that eat up everything very fast. Very limited floor space and a tiny workroom. Is there any suggestions for a new look? We have tried to showcase the safe, but it is getting old.
I want to move in. It's my bottom line. I love old bank buildings. And again, shoot me a photograph of your space. Again, jkeith online at att.net. And the comment that sticks out in my mind the most is we have a very tiny workspace. I think if it's anything like what I've looked at in the past with old bank buildings, with the vaults, is bring your workspace out into your showroom space. Decrease your showroom space and increase your workroom space. I did this in one of my retail environments that I had. Was the design room was still out to the public. It wasn't like behind closed doors, but I had so much traffic and so many people walking by, I actually put the design room in the front of the store. And it was like, I'm going to say, like, the old pizza guy throwing the pizza. It was amazing, the audience that I had in front of the store. They would come in, of course, but then people that didn't have the time, or, they just wanted to see what was going on. It was something interesting happening in the store. So again, you might consider just moving your workroom out. And the whole situation, again, with the sun or heat issues is, yes, you're just going to have to figure out maybe a backdrop that is more colorful, or colorways that you can be able to use, maybe more graphic things to showcase one product, or a vase, or certain amount of flowers. But it can be done without a question of being able to, maybe it's back to keep it simple. Think about ideas of how to block some of that light with a backdrop. I think that's it for that one.
All right.
I can't wait to get the pictures of that. I want to see it, so please send me photos.
We still have several more questions. We're going to go another 5 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Let's see. I've just moved into a new building in March. This is from Colleen. I have a lot of black shelving. What colors should I use to catch the customer's eyes?
Look at the modern version that I showed. Do you want me to go back a couple? I think I can find it. If it's black wall shelving like this, I would tend to be, if you don't have a black wall color, you might want to try some of the new grays. There's a color called Elephant Skin. I can send you that number. It's a great gray color. Or you can go into more of the taupes or neutral palettes to be able to highlight the black shelving. Actually, in Luther Florist, the makeover last year, I used black shelving, and we used a gray color within that store. And Bonnie had one of the original wooden refrigeration coolers with the big silver handles, which was just charming and still is part of the history of that store. So it's easy to work around that sort of thing, that color. Just always remember your background color, overall color, sometimes is best to have neutral over painting it a bright color, and then use your product as your color in the store.
All right, we have a lighting question from James.
Yes.
From Thorndale Floral. What is the best lighting to have? I have recently moved to a large downtown historical building that has chandeliers. What do you think about cable lighting or track lighting? The ceiling is 15 feet tall, and the walls are black.
Oh, that's perfect. Great setup. If you have ceiling fixtures or chandelier hanging, depending on the chandelier variety, are they exposed bulbs, or are the fixtures are they like a shaded fixture is one of the things, how much light is being emitted by those chandeliers. But it's always good to have several lighting sources, so he's right on track literally with that. Track lighting works fine. I've seen some great applications with the cable lighting. It all depends on the ceiling structure of how either track or cable lighting can be attached to the ceiling structure that's existing. And do they own the property, or do they lease the property? Because once you attach into there can be some issues if it's a lease property. So I would take those points into consideration, but watch some of the new LED lighting versus some of the fluorescent lighting. I know a lot of bulbs are going into fluorescent type of work, but you can look at how colors change also under different lights. Just go to a local lighting company, and I found it best. I've used all different types of lighting sources, but in Dallas a couple of months ago when I was doing a project up there, it's like a florist. Go to a pro when you're trying to decide on some lighting. You don't have to buy totally from them, but find out what's available on the marketplace before making a snap decision and that kind of investment. But yes, lighting is key and essential to your space, especially with those 15-foot ceilings. Okay.
All right, we do have a request if you can show the slide with the taupe wall and the darker shelves. If you
back right there.
I think that might be it.
You can see it?
Yeah, we can see it. We'll keep that up for a second if that's the one.
Sure.
Erica, if that's not the one that you were referring to, just let us know. All right, let's see. We've got Colleen, who just moved into an old gas station building. She's facing the west side on the main road. Has felt an increase in walk-in traffic, but wants to do something differently to keep them coming back. She wants to know, should she add a lot more color and products?
And is she asking for color and products for exterior or interior?
That's a good question.
Because so many locations that I've seen that are
interior.
Old gas
She's asking for interior.
Interior.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's one of those. It's a syndrome of keep your merchandise moving, meaning interesting all the time. Buy less, but buy more, if that makes sense. Buy less of single SKUs so that you become a real specialty shop and location, and that your customers know when they walk in the door it's going to be something different every time. I know it probably sounds like, oh, it's a lot of work, but to me it's more fun that way, to be able to vary your product rapidly throughout the seasons than it is to keep the same old merchandise over and over and over again, season to season, and store it and put it out next holiday or next season. So again, don't buy as deep per SKU, and that'll keep it interesting and keep your customers coming back. And always even have like, customer loyalty programs or any kind of thing that you can keep them coming back in. If it's a discount for the next time, or here's 10% off your next purchase, that sort of thing in store. But again, with the key is your merchandise, to keep it moving, keep it different within your store. Okay.
All right. Just want to let you know that Amy, who has left, is very excited to paint the walls Tropical Tide. In her shop.
Perfect. She will love it. Oh my God. People that I walked in and saw what I did with that color, they were just like, oh, they wanted to move in. So it's one of those new colors that should take off really well.
Excellent. All right. We're going to do 2 more questions.
Yes.
We have from Denise. Her shop is flooded. It needs a new look, and she's gotten very confused on which way to go. They're in Surfside Beach, South Carolina, and the shop is actually half a mile from the beach on a busy road.
And she's confused what to do. The shop has been flooded, meaning
yes,
through storm surge or just rain. It doesn't matter.
I don't know.
It's like the first slide. The water literally drove into the store. Okay. God, I'd say you're so unfortunate to have that happen to you, but then on the other hand, you're very fortunate that you can start off with a clean slate and look at creating your business, again, in a regional sense, and maybe catering to that local marketplace, which you know best because you've been there and you know what customers' likes are. And of course, being on a beach, I would definitely always stick with the regional and tend to be more on the nautical side of merchandising, colors. I mean, someone just said about the coloration. My God, just paint your shop Tropical Tide as a start if you want to look at that color. It's pretty amazing what product does against it. All colors have worked for me against it. So it's just one of those really pleasing blue colors. And I mentioned in the webinar about the blue color and the loyalty that it has and keeps customers coming back. So she might just want to try that. Again, just painting or look at that color sample of Tropical Tide. Again, it's a bare paint, and I can send her that number if she didn't catch it, or I can give it to you again if you need to be. But yeah, just start with that. And keep it simple. Keep the fixturing very simple. Everything, don't build things in. Keep things mobile, meaning that you can move the shop around at any point in time, and that always keeps things interesting. So I always suggest non-built-ins for fixturing.
All right. And before we take our last question, can you skip back to the organic slide?
Sure.
While you're in there.
While I'm in there. That slide or the next one?
We'll keep on that one for now.
Okay.
All right, last question. What suggestions, and this is going to be a loaded one, but what suggestions do you have to attract customers into a shop and updating the space with an extremely low budget? So what's your low budget top 3 ideas?
My top 3 ideas. This is a loaded question. I hope you win the makeover, and that way you'll have a $5,000 budget to start with, and we should get pretty far with that, as Bonnie can contest to that. Top 3 items with a very low budget. Again, I would suggest you sending me a few photos, more than the 2 that are required for the makeover contest, to my email, and I can look those over, But just looking, I'm going to flip to the next slide to the organic. I think with this feeling of being more on the natural side, I think even though it might look low budget, organic styling can be very expensive. I know you can go in though and do some budget-minded items if it's using old ladders, but one of the things, or old chairs I've seen used as fixturings on walls. It's pretty incredible. I can shoot you some of those photographs, so you might take it from there. You know, thrift shopping, where you pick up odds and end chairs, mount them on the wall for shelving. It's a really cool idea. Again, low cost. So there are ways of doing it, and again, look at the past items. But one of the things with organic and a lot of vintage things, it's such a rage, and it's been popular and has been popular, and I think it will continue to be very popular, is that so many of these items that you could pick up for $10 and $20 are now $100 and $200. So you just have to be, it's all about timing, I think. Right location at the right time. Again, when you look at used windows, all those sorts of things, they're always in such high demand now that the pricing has gone up so much. So, but again, it's about timing, where you are and what you're looking for. And again, don't be afraid to pick up some inexpensive items, like I was mentioning, chairs that can be done. And I'll shoot you those photographs if you'll send me an email. And so if that's the last question, Emily, I hope I've answered them all to my best of my ability with what I have to work with. A blank screen. But again, with my email, again, send me those questions, and I'll switch back to the slide for everybody that's on. Don't forget to send your 75-word essay, couple of photographs, not the best part of your store, but the worst, by midnight Pacific time tonight, in order to be put in the hat, the magic hat, to be drawn for $5,000 makeover. And again, thank everyone for joining in today. It's been a pleasure once again for the second annual webinar for merchandising.
Great, thank you, Keith. And for those of you, if you do want to email Keith, again, it's jkeithonline@att.net. And thank you for attending today's webinar. If you missed a portion of this webinar or would like to view it again, a replay will be available at FTD University Online next week. Webinar materials are available at ftdi.com. You can click on the FTD University logo at the bottom of the home page and then click through to the webinar series page. We will be sending you a survey to gather your feedback on today's webinar. Please complete this brief survey to help us improve future webinars and other education programs for you. The next FTD webinar is scheduled for Tuesday, September 10th. Derek Myers from Crockett Myers & Associates will show you how to establish a target cost of goods sold that is specific to your flower shop. Registration is already available at ftdi.com, so be sure to register as soon as possible to reserve your spot. Again, thank you, Keith, for sharing such great information, and this concludes FTD University's webinar, Merchandising 911.